Okay. Hello from Painted Bar Stables in Burdett, New York. We're here located in the Finger Lakes wine country of upstate New York. We've had a bit of a hullabaloo in the last week thanks to the COVID-19 pandemic. We've been following it quite carefully, and honestly, the Farm Bureau has been one of our main sources of information for this entire experience, giving us updates every 6 hours sometimes to keep us up to times with the ever-changing environment. When this first started coming out, we developed a lot of safety precautions based on recommendations from both the online doctor and science recommendations, as well as the recommendations of local nurses that work with us. We obviously sanitized pretty much every surface in the barn that we could, ranging from the tack that we were using to the helmets and the desks and everything like that. And we did that before and after every ride, setting up stations. We started doing more helmet sales and glove sales so people could cover themselves if they came to ride. We started reducing our group sizes for our lessons and trail rides. Trail rides became private only, so only your group. You wouldn't be riding with public. We also even went as far to make people pay ahead of time and prepay, so that we're not dealing with credit cards and cash when we got here, because that's a lot of touching that happens with that and touch screens. And we even did online waivers, where you could print out your waiver ahead of time and bring it, so that we didn't have to sanitize pens and clipboards every time that people were here. We did a lot of that, and we posted it all online, and that was going really well. We actually shared that really broadly on social media, and we were really happy to hear from a friend of an acquaintance that she had shared it with her, I'm going to say colleagues, in the Philippines. She works a little bit with the Pony Boys, who are in Benguero, Philippines, in Wright Park, and they do guided rides in Wright Park there, and just an institution of the area. And they started actually implementing a lot of our sanitation practices, and they actually made sure to make sure she told us that they had a really big impact, and that was really going well, and for them, for us, for everything. And but then last Friday, we got word that as of Sunday night, we had to close down all of our riding programs. Not only that, we had to close down our riding programs to the general public and to our regulars, but we also had to close our facility to the boarding members of our barn, the people that keep their horses with us. That was a big change for us and a big hit for a lot of our community. We're not actually a very big boarding facility, but we do have some really loyal boarders who really enjoy their horses, and to hear that they weren't allowed to come and work with their horses or be with their horses except to provide essential care for their horses was a big change, especially since we're a full service barn, so we don't do a lot of bartering with them for that kind of service. So that was a big change. And then the bigger hit to the business on a financial level is the riding programs. 90 to 95% of our income comes from riding programs. We also, unlike a lot of facilities, own most of our own horses. We own 38 equids, ranging from horses to ponies and mules, along with one Jersey steer who lives with our stallion. It makes me a cowgirl, correct? I have one cow, not even a cow. And then we also have, a variety of other like barn dogs and barn cats here, but most of them, those are all ours. We only have an additional 10 boarded horses on top of that. So most of our income comes from the use of our own horses. We don't use boarded horses to conduct our lessons and our programs, because we like to have control of the safety of both the animal and the client by using our own. So we had a huge hit to our income. Generally speaking, we would be bringing in on average about $20,000 a month in order to cover our base expenses. And right now we are coming out of our low season. Our peak season is July and August, and it goes down to our slow season, which is starting in hunting season. Really, it starts to slow down in November, but definitely through December, January, and February. So March, we usually are just beginning to see the light of day again, and April is usually our first month that we're truly back in the black. And we're not going to see that this year because of this. So it was a huge hit, because not only are we now not able to make our income, but we're not able to make our income after spending the last 3 to 4 months working on debt. And as a result, we have taken up all of the credit that we have to get us through the winter, and we don't have that available anymore. So that's kind of all the bad news that happens with this coronavirus. But what we've seen come out of this is amazing and very inspiring levels of devotion from our community. We take about 3,500 trail riders out a year, and we have about 50 students that are incredibly loyal to us. And they're not able to ride right now. And despite that, they have really stepped up to the plate. We developed a program that anyone who would buy $250 in riding credits or gift certificates would officially be able to sponsor one of our horses. We have extended that to be not just our horses and equids, but also to our Jersey steer, our barn cats, and our dogs. And it totals up a total of 37 equids, including 1 mule and 6 ponies. And then 1 horse that we had for sale, 6 dogs, and 6 cats and 2 dogs. So we have a total of 47 animals on site that were available for sponsor. In less than, I would say, 4 days, we now have 40 of those 47 animals sponsored, meaning that people have given over $250 to each of those animals to support them through, which has raised us over $10,000 in cash flow for the month of April. The first one that came in was really moving, but they just kept coming, and they just kept pouring in, and it was a really big, very big emotional experience for me to see all of these people come together and support these animals that I love so much. And they've really made a difference. And I am so appreciative to all of those people that made sure that we would have the cash to get through this period of time, because we don't know if it's going to be 2 weeks, or if it's going to be 4 weeks, or if it's going to be 2 to 3 months or beyond that we have to keep these riding programs closed. So with that money, that liquidity that was put instantly into our bank account, we were able to secure an extra 300 bales of hay. We got 6 tons of grain, which are all unloaded in the barn now. We have made sure that we have cash to payroll our staff, to pay the contractors that help us with various projects in the barn as well. We're set to kind of keep on chugging. We still have the income coming in from boarding, and we can keep training horses, but like I said, that's a small amount of our business. And but with that, in connection with this cash flow that the gift certificates have given us, we now are feeling much more confident that we'll be able to get through this period of time. The hard part for me is balancing the emotional thanks that I have for all of this gift certificate purchase. But at the end of the day, I'm very worried about July and August, and remembering that all of these gift certificates will need to be repaid in services, and that those services now in July and August will not be paid for. So we will continue to have debt into those months, because we will be repaying the debt that we owe to all of these amazingly generous people at that time. So even though we now have the cash flow to survive, we won't have the income to thrive, because that income is just kicked down the road. It's not replaced. And we'll cross that bridge when we get there, I suppose, just like everybody else. And I'm really thankful because I know a lot of other people don't even have that cash flow in the bank to keep their staff going and to keep everything rolling, and we do. So I'm really excited that we have a community behind us. But it's also really worrying to see where this is going to go, because I know if our barn, which is so well supported, is seeing some darkness in the future, not I don't want to even begin to think of the other smaller barns in the area and how they're handling this. And it just makes me worried, because in the equine economy specifically, as the sea rises, all the boats float. When the sea is lowered down, every single boat will sink with it. And we need to have that community of various barns to support the equine community in the area, in order for us all to actually thrive. So, I am worried about that. But it's nice to see our community really coming together, and hopefully we'll be able to take care of each other within the barn owner community as well. I have a Facebook group that I've been curating for a number of years called Horse Stable Owner Brainstorming, and it's a private group only for the owners of facilities. If you're a manager, you're not welcome. It's literally just for owners to answer these really hard management questions and financial questions, policy questions, or sometimes just to complain, because we obviously need an outlet too. We can get very isolated on our farms, and I've been really plugged into that community right now, trying to see how we can all work together, and if there's ideas that one person has that will benefit us all. And it's been a struggle, but I think we're gonna move forward, and I think that it's gonna be okay. We just have to make it there. So that's the update right now from our stables. I am proudly also wearing my, I don't know if you can see it, but Everything Hurts, but I've got grit t-shirt, because that is how I feel right now. I hurt everywhere, especially inside, but I've got grit, and I'm gonna make it through. And we are finding passion here, and we are going to make it. And I think that everyone else will too, as long as we all work together.